Hey everybody, welcome to the Salty Aaron Show, episode 1 of like 12 this weekend. Of course, I am never alone, and this show is a show about just having a fucking conversation. It's about getting to know the people around you. It's about getting to know basically what drives someone, what they're passionate about. And today on the show, I got Anthony Smith of Entering the Black Hole.
Hey, how y'all doing out there in whatever land we in?
Yeah, I mean, this is so much more than like an Orlando-based show. This is really pushing the boundaries and letting everybody know who Anthony Smith is all around the world. There's going to be some little Japanese kid who's going to wake up tomorrow morning and go, I want to listen to Entering the Black Hole. I had to do that weird at the end.
It was terrible, man. It was terrible.
And that's the whole point. So Anthony is a local podcaster. I joined their show recently,
yes,
but this is a completely separate element and entire show altogether. Anthony, my first question to you to start us off in just having a fucking conversation.
Yes, I'm black.
I'm so glad we got that out of the way. It was the elephant in the room. If you couldn't tell he was black just by his name, Anthony Smith is here with me today from Entering the Black Hole podcast.
Thank you for having me, brother.
It is so much fun to finally actually be behind the mic doing this. This has been talked about since December.
Yes, you have been talking about this for quite some time.
And I thought, what an easy way to take the burden off by having someone who already has mic skills.
Well, I wouldn't say I got mic skills.
That's bullshit, and you and I both fucking know it.
I don't want,
That's he's doing the Jay. Yeah, he literally was Jay back in 2000. Just jigga what? Jigga who?
There you go.
So, Anthony, I'm going to ask you this question because I know you're going to ask it back to me.
Right.
Why the hell did you choose podcasting to start your voice acting career?
Well, believe it or not, my mother always said, "You can talk. If there's one thing you can do, is talk." And I was like, and my grandmother used to say that too all the time. She used to listen to all my stories. And then I tried radio a long time ago. And I guess at the time, you know how my voice wasn't the same that it is now. I was always nervous when I got behind a mic. I also was doing the rap thing in the studio and everything like that.
And I want to talk to you about that today. Mm-hmm. And some of your personal interests that we've talked off mic at Entering the Black Hole. Because I think some of that is so freaking cool that we never get to talk about on the show because, it doesn't fit the motif or the niche.
Well, believe it or not, if you look at me, people be like, yeah, he's a voice for radio. That's all.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's a radio guy.
That was the same thing that people told me when I went to college.
Right.
I basically went for a journalism degree, but I really didn't have in my mind that the voice would be the one thing that would carry me through. And at the time, I was in a lot of scream metal bands and doing that.
Right.
Like we've talked off mic about that,
right.
and this is a place we could talk about.
Exactly.
So you have, excuse me, back to me for a second. Back to you, Aaron. All right, Aaron, thanks for picking up the mic.
Absolutely.
There's no edits in the show. It's just honest, real, straight up talking.
Absolutely. Can we curse?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
I've already done it.
Oh,
If not,
Fuck.
Fuck, I wasn't paying attention to the conversation we're supposed to be having. Oh, the irony is there.
Yeah, right.
But Anthony, you said you had the gift of gab by telling stories and storytelling. Have you ever thought about doing something about reading books to other people? Like doing that whole ASMR movement kind of thing. If you don't know what that is, I'll educate you.
I know what it is, but the reason why I can't do it because I have a problem with the way I talk. First of all, I talk very fast. So, you know how you talk and you can't remember, you know, you speak faster than you think. So I tend to stutter sometimes, and you can't do that when you're reading a book. And then I'm blind as a bat, so doing it now is forget about it.
And not to amplify, this man cannot see.
No, I can't.
He literally asked me if the Tylenol bottle says, wow, I fucked up the word bottle. That's so great. We're such professionals here. You're the one talking about stuttering, and I'm the one over here unable to say a word. Unable, enable. There we go again. Winner.
Ding, ding, ding.
So I agree with you. That was my thoughts, actually, when I was starting, is I thought that I had the gift to talk to people.
Right.
You know, people would pay attention, but I didn't think that I had the voice that would be warm and comforting to bring them in to tell them the story about how their wife was murdered reading a Stephen King novel or a fucking Girl on a Train shit nowadays.
I've done a little bit of voice acting before. You know, I've done it because while I was in high school, we got to do voiceovers and things like that for PSAs.
Oh,
so I've
fuck
done
you,
it,
man. I wish that would have been presented to me in my schooling.
When I first started doing that stuff, I even acted. So, and I acted.
Do not see you as an actor.
No, I was doing a lot of PSAs, acting in the PSAs.
Gotcha.
It wasn't. I didn't get paid for it. You know what I'm saying?
No one does.
No one,
That's the whole
exactly. But they used to come to my school all the time and take us, because we was in this special program.
Right.
So they used to take us and put us in all this drama thing. I did stage. I did all that when I was in high school. And I wanted to continue doing it. But when it came time, my cousin's in a couple of movies. And he was trying to convince my mother to get my SAG license. Which, by the way, if anybody don't know what that is, that's the Screen Actors Guild license.
Shit, yeah, right.
Right. And he was, but at the time, it was $5,000.
Oh, fuck.
And the reason why he got his parents let him, whatever he wanted to do, he jumps right into it, and his parents just follow right behind him. They just help him out. So they got the $5,000 for him.
Nice.
And when it came to my mother to get it from me, she's like, I ain't giving you $5,000 or nothing. That's what my mother said. And I said, Mom, I can make millions. She's like, work, collect your $5,000 and pay for it yourself.
Your mom was a hard knock life, girl, and I already thank her for doing so.
15 years old, she told me that. You go to work, you save up your $5,000, you go get your own license. Now, at 15 years old, I'm still in school playing basketball. I'm doing all this. I ain't got time to make $5,000. So, I wasn't one of those kids that live in a drug-infested neighborhood where they sell drugs and stuff like that. I just went to the park and played ball.
And before anybody asks, and before you say it, you are from New York, is that correct?
First and foremost, I'm from New York.
I'm surprised we didn't start off any of the stories so far that way.
Brooklyn, I was born in Brooklyn, raised in Queens, then moved back to Brooklyn. So, my parents, and a lot of people think that, even in where I lived at, it was a middle-class neighborhood, but it was still the hood. I mean, we still had our gangsters. We still had our thugs. We still had all of that going on in my neighborhood. It's just that the kids stuck together. You know what I'm saying?
You had your own little unit that protected each other.
Let me tell you.
It's almost like a gang, but not with a nefarious attachment to it. You're more like a clique.
We was a bunch of nerd kids that was hanging out. We had a group called TYM. That was the name of our clique. The Young Masters. That's what we were called. And there was people that was on the block that wouldn't, people in the neighborhood wouldn't go to a special part of the block that we were hanging out because they thought we was selling drugs and running prostitutes and everything on that block. And it was like, we ain't doing none of that. We just playing handball. It's like, come on, man. Y'all doing more than that,
You are probably the 90s picture of the whole group of computers all together playing an LAN party, like a LAN party.
That's exactly how it was. And I was in a rap group. I was in a singing group. I was in all types of stuff. Played basketball, baseball, football, volleyball, doing act. If there was something to do, I did it. That's how it was.
You were from the age, from the entrance of high school, you were given an opportunity to be in the performing arts and exceed and excel at all of them.
Try to excel at it.
Right. And I understand, money plays a lot of things on why life doesn't always go a particular way. But guess what? Over all of that, you've overcome and become a broadcaster / podcast / whatever the fuck you are meant to be shortly in the future. Because believe it or not, when you're fucking up Nathan's commercials on Entering the Black Hole, you're actually set a precedent for yourself and you're creating a name for yourself. You guys don't even know that yet. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because maybe Anthony Smith as a generalized name on Google, you would maybe find,
5,000 of us
in a square block.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the search results would be fucking Anthony Smith, and then you eliminate Entering the Black Hole, you literally find a Facebook page with your kids, not even your face.
Right, exactly.
Like, you totally have like the ability to speak on the mic and be profound, you know what I mean? But at the same time, you're still guarded from that. You're doing the polar opposite of me, exactly. I'm going out there and I'm like, here's my dick, pay attention, you know, anything to get like a few bites in the line.
Did you know why I used my kids instead of my photo? And I kind of didn't. I wanted to keep it that way on my page. I had opened up my Facebook page for my show. That's what the basis of my page was.
Yeah, you were not a very social media expert. And you still
exactly.
aren't.
I'm still not nowhere near.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And so I always thought, because we was doing, you know, the radio. It's a radio podcast. That's basically what it is. Even though it's internet, it's still radio, no matter how you put it. And
fuck them who belittle people going out and creating their own content while taking it against the big leagues.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? If you have your foot in radio, you've made it for life. You know what I mean? It's really hard to sell a contract once someone has copyright wrote you. You know what I mean? Right. In some way, shape, and form. And we got a very handsome nod with Entering the Black Hole. I am so proud.
Yeah, it came a long way. When we first started Entering the Black Hole, we had one listener. That's all we had. I think for at least a month, we had one listener. And then a second listener listened to the show. And the moment we had our first news junkie guest, that's when we started to getting that traction and stuff. Now we have so many people. Not that we don't want to do Meet the Chatters, because we still want to do it every once in a blue. But I think the last one we did is maybe 9 months ago. And
so you're thinking that there's one coming up. And what the Meet the Chatters is, I understand that there's probably a sect of people who are going to be listening to the show,
right?
Because it's not a comedy-based podcast like everything else we do,
right?
So Entering the Black Hole is a comedy-driven podcast from two guys. And what was your tagline from the billboards? They had billboards for a while.
It said 2 drunk guys at the bar, and they gave us a show.
Exactly. It's such like.
Shout out to Todd, because Todd Stevenson is the one that came up with the idea. But it was the premise of our show. It was always that way. We get drunk. We used to get fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Get drunk on the mics. I was
here during those days.
Oh, yes.
And they were fucking glorious, because I was with you.
Oh, yes.
I come in plastered and do the show and go get more plastered.
That's exactly how it was. So getting drunk was our premise of the show. And then, if you remember back in the days, we used to have a whole stack of alcohol bottles on top. And
it's funny that my profile, like, I'm the non-drinker of the group. Let's just get that out of the way.
Right.
In my profile picture that we just posted today for another interview that we're doing like down the road, has all those booze bottles behind you. So I am so ingrained with the history and the damage and the chaos that Entering the you're not talking about a typical podcast here. Like, this podcast has more than your typical 1 or 2 listeners that, like, say Uncle John's fishing show has. Like, this has some animosity behind it. It's fucking ridiculous.
It caught a lot of traction, especially when you heard us getting drunk. You know what I'm saying? We actually started off sober, and Rick would start off sober and get fucked up at the end, but we would start off sober and get drunk, and then by the end of the show, it's a shit show. And everybody loved that, because especially it was the ordinary people that would come in and listen to the show, actually come to the show. Ordinary people don't got the greatest job in the world, don't have not a celebrity or anything like that, and get drunk. And then you got other people listening to 3 people or 4 people get drunk. It's a shit show, and people loved it.
It really wasn't expanding because specifically what you just said, their drunk friend would want to listen to that episode, and then maybe an entirely different sect in downtown Orlando, or even out to Lake Nona and Disney. You know what I mean?
Right.
And there's Lake Nona, and then there's Disney. I know I'm throwing these all out of there. But enough drunk friends tell their drunk friends, you got the fan base.
Exactly. And then the drunk friends want to come in.
Yeah.
And then get drunk with us too. It's just amazing.
It was so great. It was so organic, and it was so silly. I know you've told the Entering the Black Hole story and how you guys got the name. I'll let Rick tell that one, because I know you have told it so many times.
Oh, yeah.
Hell, we were at the fucking live event, and you were telling, I think, one of your new friends who had... a friend who bought a friend, and it was a fresh listener, and you told them the story, and they were just balking and laughing at how silly it is.
The premise was, if anybody would have known, I'm telling you, I'm not going to tell too much about how we met, but you would have thought Rick was gay. That was it. You thought Rick was gay. Because I wouldn't